There we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Community Services Committee meeting. It is August the 16th. I am your chair, Councillor Chris Thiessen. Sitting with me on this committee are Councillors Grant Berg, Mayor Jackie Clayton, and Councillor Wendy Bosch, the Bosch lady. And we'll kick it off right quick to begin with. We'll go to our Director's Service Area Report after we call the meeting to order. Boom, boom. I'll turn it over to you, Director Miller.
All right. Thanks, Chair Thiessen. So I'll start off with an update about Community Knowledge Campus and just letting the committee know that the Aquarians Region A Regionals was held on the weekend of August 12th to the 14th, and over 200 athletes attended, 95 officials, and we had about 1,200 spectators in the facility, and it was very successful. With events and entertainment, Scotty's Burger Shack is a new food and beverage tenant, so they'll open to the public on September 5th at the Day Bar Arena. So that's exciting news for us. Just an update from facilities. We have a sound attenuation consultant who will be on site later this week, and he'll look at both the ARC, Activity Rec Center, for sound baffling options that we'll bring forward later, as well as Eastlink Center for the aquatics area to try to address the noise issues there. With fleet, we have 2 replacement tandem gravel trucks that have been received and they're now in service. We also have 2 new replacement street sweepers that they'll be in service soon as the rig up is completed by our staff. And then they're also currently doing the overhauls for winter equipment and are on schedule for that. And hopefully winter's a ways away yet, but they're doing what they need to do to prepare. With sports development, wellness, and culture, we had over 1,100 residents attend this year's Heritage Day event.
Nice.
The museum hosted heritage hunters and heritage-based skit performances. And some of the activities included the cultural booths, the cultural dance, the tapestry painting from local artists, carnival games, and food trucks with special heritage food dishes. And transit redesign, just an update on that. The first week we had our transit staff on the buses and at the hubs assisting passengers and explaining the new routes. We just wanted to take a moment to say thank you very much to all the staff who assisted, and including the Citizen Contact Center staff who received many calls and provided great service. And Mr. Harvard, our transit manager, has a plan to meet with all the transit operators on August 21st as a bit of a debrief and to listen to feedback and action their feedback as well, and review the routes to determine if any adjustments are required for the future. And then good news as well, the on-demand ridership. There was a greater demand than was anticipated, so people are really uptaking the opportunities there. And then I wanted to provide an update on, it was an item that Councillor Berg brought forward a while ago on the newspaper boxes that we have throughout the community. So we made some inquiries, and we currently have, there's 41 locations throughout the city, and typically about 90% of the flyers that are still put into the boxes are picked up by the residents in our community. And when the vendor goes around and they place items in the boxes, if they're in poor condition, they tell us they remove the boxes and take them out of service, and they are not being replaced. So over time, the boxes will disappear from our community. And in speaking to the vendor, we also ask them to make sure that they do take care of making sure that the boxes are in good condition and that they remain upright and as tidy as possible. So I'm hoping that will, at the end when I talk about the oil, hopeful that this update will provide details to remove it from the oil as well. Unless there's any questions, that's my update, Councillor Thiessen.
All right, thank you very much, Director Miller. I'm checking out my peripheral vision. I see Councillor Bressie has his hand up, so I will hand over the floor to him.
Great, thank you, Chair Thiessen. A couple questions about transit. I'm glad to hear about this operators meeting. Also, today on the bus, there was a staff member from Access GP on the bus asking people how it was going, so really appreciating the efforts being made to collect feedback. I'm just wondering what kind of timeline and what kind of mechanisms there might be for reporting back to council on if changes are going to be made and whether or not they need approval or if they're just going to happen on their own.
Director Miller.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. That's a very good point, and I'll commit that we will bring back the feedback, and if there's any recommended changes as to level of service, we'll seek council's approval. I'm in touch with Mr. Harvard every couple days, so after the meeting on the 21st and any other feedback we hear, then we'll make sure we bring it back in a timely manner. So.
And if people do have little changes that they think need to be made, I've been telling them to call 311 or do info@city.gp. Is that actually, am I telling them the right thing, or is there another way you'd like them to report that stuff?
No, I think that's an appropriate method to use as well, through the chair. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
And we've also heard feedback about the rider's guide, and we're working with our comms department to implement changes there as well.
Awesome.
You may.
And I'm wondering if it'd be possible, on-demand, something I've really got my eyes on, and if we're hitting the service standard that we set for that, I'm wondering if next meeting would be possible for us to get some information about what has been the average wait time on-demand, what have been the longest wait times. I'm just trying to figure out how long people are actually waiting for that bus.
Director Miller.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Yep, we certainly will commit to bringing that back in 2 weeks. I'll ask soon-to-be Director Lemieux to address that. This should be my last update as a Director of Community Services as well.
Sadness. But you got promoted, so not so sad.
I think it's because I really know how to ask hard questions.
Yeah, you scared him away, Councillor Bressie. You scared him away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bressie. Thank you, Director Miller. I have Councillor Berg in the queue right now.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen, and these are not hard questions, Director Miller. Just more for my information. You mentioned the street sweepers. Their replacement, how many do we always or typically have?
Director Miller.
Through the chair, I believe right now we have 5.
Okay.
Well, 4 plus 1 kind of a, I forget what it's called now, but Mr. Director Glavin would know. And I did ask our fleet manager what the plan is with the 2 that are being replaced, if we're going to retain them for a period of time to make sure we have adequate, or and then we can provide an update on that in the future as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm noticing more and more the last couple of years, seeing them out a lot more. So thank you. Is it? Do they run on an 8-hour schedule or expanded?
That would be Director Glavin's.
Director Glavin.
Thank you, Chair. So at the beginning of the street sweeping season, so right after snow, there is a period of time where we do run them 24/7, and then we switch to summer hours, which are about 20 hours a day. And then as we complete the entire city, we do gradually reduce the amount of people that are operating the sweepers and redeploy them to other tasks. So right now, there'd probably be 1 sweeper to 2 sweepers out per shift. There were 2 out this morning.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the questions, Councillor Berg. Any further questions? Seeing none, looks like Director Miller is getting off the hook. We might as well finish it with a couple compliments. Scotty's Burger Shack, pretty exciting. Supposedly, they have the best burgers. Now they're at one of our facilities, so that's great. Can't wait to chew my teeth into that. I just wanted to thank you and your staff, Director Miller. I know for 4 weeks over the weekend we had the night market down at the Montrose Cultural Center. You did have some speed bumps along the road, but I really want to compliment you and your team, Ms. Cajolet and everyone, for working together to make sure that those issues were addressed and helped through. So thank you very much. Good work, team.
I can just thank you very much for the compliments, and it was Ms. Cajolet and Ms. Beaverdorf who were front and center trying to work out the bugs and make it as successful as possible.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you know what? I think I just stirred another question. Thank you, Ms. Beaverdorf, too. Didn't want to forget you. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. My question is, now that, yes, you did spark a question. On the Montrose site, do we have adequate power for people to host events? And I didn't think so. And how are we going to fix that?
Director Miller.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. So at the site itself, there is no power supplied for the event. There was generators brought in, and there is a plan to bring an option forward at budget time this year for council's consideration.
So this plan, would it involve having the ability to host a significant event?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Councillor Bosch. Any further questions, stirred, provoked? No? Seeing none, you're off the hook for now until the oil list, Director Miller. And with that, we'll move on to our reports. We have grant recommendations, and now I'll turn the floor over to Miss Katie Beaverdorf.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. The Community Advisory Committee met on July 26 to review sport hosting grant applications and discuss amending the criteria to also include regional events. We did receive 3 applications. 2 were recommended at $5,000, and that's for the Aquarian Swim Club and Swan City FC for a Power Soccer Provincials. And 1 application is recommended at $2,000 for an intercity basketball tournament by the Filipino Association. We have received a number of inquiries for funding regional events, which were not currently covered in the existing criteria, but they do include out-of-town travel into the city, and combined, the events that we're recommending today were projected to bring in almost $200,000 of economic impact to the city. So for future sport hosting applications, we have added a small-scale grant to the criteria, which would provide up to $1,000 for regional events. And that is in alignment with the large-scale tourism grant requirements, with 35% of attendees from 100 kilometers or greater. And administration intends to continue accepting applications for the remainder of 2022 with this change to the criteria. And we're requesting that committee recommend council approve the amounts outlined in the report for a total of $12,000. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Ms. Bieberdorf. I'll turn it over to council now and committee to see who's got questions. I got Councillor Bosch and then Councillor Burke.
No, I was just going to take care of business, but if Mr. Berg wants to have a question, then go ahead.
Fire away, Mr. Berg.
Yeah, so there is a question. You'd mentioned $12,000, but in what I'm seeing here on the e-scribe, it's actually $17,000. I think the groups Aquarians, Swan City FC, Filipino Basketball League, and Grande Prairie Fastball Association. So we're seeing 17 here.
Ms. Bieberdorf.
Sorry, through the chair. Yes, we did make that correction after to add the Fastball Association as well, so 17.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Councillor Blackmore and then Councillor O'Connor. No? Oh, why did you do this?
Ms. Bieberdorf, can you tell me what Swan City FC is? What does FC stand for?
Football Club. So it's the Grande Prairie Soccer Association rebranded as Swan City Football Club.
It would be convenient for people like me who are acronym challenged if we didn't use acronyms in city reports, or especially in motions.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that input, Ms. Blackmore, and thank you for that illustration of FC for us, Ms. Bieberdorf. Now, I had Councillor Bosch in the queue to take care of some business. Any further questions before I let her take the podium? Seeing none, Councillor Bosch.
Thank you. This is great seeing that these athletic clubs are moving forward and getting larger with perhaps a little bit of funds from the city, but hopefully this gets larger and larger. I move committee recommend council approve funding allocation in the following amounts. Sport hosting grant funding to the Grande Prairie Aquarian Swim Club in the amount of $5,000. Sport hosting grant funding to Swan City Football Club in the amount of $5,000. Oh, that was quick. Sport hosting grant funding to the Grande Prairie Filipino Basketball League in the amount of $2,000. And sport hosting grant funding to the Grande Prairie Fastball Association for $5,000.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bosch. That motion is in order. I'll open it up for any discussion or debate. Taking a deep breath, seeing none, I'll call the motion to question. And that motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Bieberdorf, for the report and for your recommendations. And thank you, Council, for those votes. I guess committee, it'll go to Council. Moving right along, we've got correspondence from the town of Sexsmith. The mayor of Sexsmith, Kate Potter, sent us a letter in regards to the Combative Sport Commission and Sexsmith wanting to be a part of that if the city would consider it. Now, I'll look for a motion or some direction from this letter from committee and maybe some input from Councillor Kevin O'Toole, since he's been the shining light of the Combative Sports Commission for the last decade. I'll hand it over to you, Councillor O'Toole.
Yeah, I understand Sexsmith does want to join. It will not be a very difficult process. It's just adding them to the bylaw and some negotiations there on what their role would be.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you for that, Councillor O'Toole. I have the Mayor, Jackie Clayton, in the queue.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Just to be clear, Sexsmith wants to look at the opportunity to join. They're not for sure wanting to join. So it was a follow after a conversation Mayor Potter and I had after a conversation that the Combative Sports Commission had with Sexsmith about an opportunity for an event in Sexsmith. So they are open to consideration. Then it'll go back to their council with further information. Thanks.
Very good. All right, so I guess next steps, are we looking to just receive this for information or to move it on to the Combative Sports Commission for discussion? I see Kevin O'Toole nodding his head over there. Director Miller.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Ms. Casually participates in the committee as well. Maybe she could just add a couple comments. We're just looking for some direction from committee or potentially council for us to engage with Sexsmith.
All right, yeah, that's what I was looking for too. I'll turn it over to Ms. Cajolet.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Administration is prepared to initiate that conversation with the town of Sexsmith in collaboration with the commission if committee is supportive of that approach.
I see a general nodding of heads, but I have Councillor Berg in the queue.
I was just going to make a motion that we send this letter to the Combative Sports Commission for consideration.
Sounds good. And I think administration, do you need any further direction than that, or?
No, administration can take that forward.
All right, so that motion is in order. Thank you very much, Ms. Cajolet. Thanks for the motion, Councillor Berg. Any discussion or debate on this? Seeing none, I'll call it to question. And that motion carries. Thank you very much, committee. Thank you very much, administration. And now we'll turn it back for the last order of business of our Director of Community Services, Mr. Arlen Miller.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. So the first item on the list, 1211, the abandoned newspaper boxes, if we can remove that one, please. And the remaining 4 items are all on track for the expected report dates.
Very good. Thank you very much, Director Miller. I'll look for a motion to approve the outstanding items list as amended. Councillor Burke.
Thank you. I would like to recommend that we accept the outstanding items list as amended.
That motion is in order, and an echo of my suggestion, which is going to go anyways. Anyways, I'll call to question.
Sorry, I was just kicked out, so Mayor Clayton votes in favor.
And with that, it is carried unanimously, and that takes care of our business for this first committee. Thank you, everyone, for attending here and online, and we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back.